we need to record. So today we are here for the panel for the last school. For those who don't know me, my name is Claudia Guerrero. I'm a program advisor for SSSB, and I'm wanting to introduce our panel today. We have two great females that they're gonna be talking about their experience in the process to law school. So if you wanted to introduce, I don't know who wanted to start first. Andrea, do you want to go first?
Oh, sure. So my name is Andrea Romo. I am currently the administrative assistant at SSSP. If you come to the office, you've seen me around. If not, I've also been a past math tutor and peer mentee. So if you've been to the office before COVID, you probably have seen me around then. Um, do you want me to like tell a little bit about myself, or do I wait for that question?
Just wait for that.
Alrighty.
Just a quick introduction, like your name.
Cool.
Well, hi everyone. My name is Jasmine. I am currently a senior. I'm studying I'm doing a double major in philosophy and creative writing, and I also work at SSSP as an English tutor.
Okay, cool. Thank you for being here with us, talking about your experiences. So let's begin with the questions, and then at the end we're gonna open the floor. If you have any questions for Andrea or Jasmine, just let us know. You can open your mic, or you can write it on the chat. Okay. So first question is, tell us about yourself. What you major, your classification, anything related to your path, your career path. And we can go with the same order, like Andrea, if you want to go first, and then Jasmine.
Alrighty. So I graduated with my bachelor's in summer 2020. I got a bachelor's in mechanical engineering. So I took 2 years off. Before I'm planning on going to law school this August. And yeah, that's during my undergrad. I was a court appointed special advocate. I was a math tutor at SSSP. I was a STEM tutor for EPCC. I worked at the library. I also did an internship with Las Americas. But right now I'm working as the administrative assistant full-time for SSSP. Mm-hmm.
Thank you, Andrea.
Well, I'm doing, like I said before, I'm doing a double major in philosophy and creative writing. I've been at UTEP for about 3 years now. I've been working at SSSP for about 3 years now. What else? I did the law school preparatory institute program. I just finished it this past summer, April. Yeah, right now I'm working at I'm doing an internship at the courthouse. So I'm working with one of the criminal courts, trying to develop like a new treatment program for domestic violence and mental health. So that's what I'm doing right
now. Okay, thank you. So going to the second question, you were talking about, Andrea, that you have a bachelor's in engineering, and Jasmine, you declared what is your major. So what major pursue your major, and what made you choose to go to law school?
So I originally wanted to go to law school since I was in middle school. Due to my family background, I have always been interested in pursuing immigration law. And so there was a time in high school where I felt like my English wasn't as strong. And so when you're a first generation student, you don't know much about um, what attorneys do, I guess, or much about the options. So I thought attorneys only litigated. So for a moment, I had to step back and be like, okay, well, I cannot really be an attorney because my English isn't the best. So what am I good at? And I've always been really good at math. So in high school, I took some drafting courses, which is you use um, CAD software to, yeah, a lot of engineering stuff. So I took engineering courses in high school, which led me to want to pursue engineering for my bachelor's. During during my time as an undergrad, I was an SSP participant, and I met another participant. Her name's Evelyn, and she introduced me to the LSPI program at UTEP. And I remember she said, like, even if you want to pursue engineering, you can also try to go to law school. Like, give LSPI a chance, and if you like LSPI, maybe law school is for you. And so in LSPI, I spoke with one of the professors. Her name's Professor Soto. Um, and I did obviously the coursework, and I realized that I really like not so much litigation, but I like the writing aspect of it, all the background work of it. And so I realized that although immigration law isn't necessarily for me, I really wanted to pursue law school so I could go for patent law. And that's one thing that made me stick to attending law school. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Thank you, Andrea.
I guess for like me, I took kind of a different path because well, Andrea took engineering classes. I took medical classes and nursing classes in high school. And by the time I graduated, that was when I finally realized that like this wasn't for me. So when I had originally applied to UTEP, I applied as a pre-med major. So I think I was microbiology. But then the second I got into UTEP, I changed it, but I didn't know to what exactly I wanted to do. So I kind of just went through the list of I knew for sure it was in liberal arts. So I just went through like all the majors and I was like, oh, philosophy, that sounds cool. And then if I want to, I can always switch because, it's easier to switch like between your major between the college instead of to a whole other college. So that's what I did. And I ended up actually really liking philosophy. And during I think it was at the end of my first year, towards like my second semester, like right before COVID, I was considering like what I wanted to do, and I wasn't really sure. Like I was trying to make plans for the summer and see, if like there were study abroad programs or anything that I wanted to do. And Andrea actually mentioned LSPI to me, and that's when I was like, huh, maybe. And then I did the LSPI program. It was virtual that summer, but Abel and I still got a lot out of it. And I guess by the end of it, I kind of realized like I cried every single night, but I loved it. So that's when I kind of realized like, okay, maybe I can handle this. Maybe law school is the path that I want to go.
Well, thank you. So you were talking about your majors, your background, and the interest to pursue law school. So some students have that idea that if you don't major in liberal arts or something related with criminal justice or political science, you would not be able to pursue law school. Can anyone talk about it or from your experience or from your LSPI classes, what you can tell the students? And also Abel, you already joined, if you can also share your experience too. I don't know, Andrea, you want to go first or you want Jasmine to go first?
Yeah, so I know that as a mechanical engineer, I did have that question where if engineers don't really do a lot of reading, don't do a lot of writing. Um, Everything's more math and science based, and when we do write, it's more technical writing. So I was a bit worried, and I sat down with the professors, and I actually went to a grad fair and asked one of the um, college, like the recruiters. I asked like, hey, will it affect me if I'm not like a liberal arts major? And I remember they told me like, you know what, we actually look for people that are different, you know. They so whatever major you want to go ahead and pursue, it doesn't really matter because law school doesn't really look for any prereqs. First of all, like you don't have to take any classes in order to go to law school. Um, they just want you. They don't care about your major, and the rare, not rarer, but like you don't see a lot of engineers or a lot of I don't know, chemistry majors or a lot of um theater majors like applying to law school. Um, and they like to see that diversity because then you have a group of students that are very diverse with different opinions, with different ideas, and you do bring something different to the class, which is what a lot of law schools are looking for, to bring different points of views to a class so they can like help the class like learn better, I guess. Yeah, they want more diversity, so it doesn't really matter what your major is.
Yes, to add to what Andrea said, like law, like the legal field encompasses like everything. So they need everyone, all kinds of majors. And like Andrea said, like no one in STEM really applies to law school specifically because if you're good at math, that means that like you don't like writing or you don't want to go into that field. And then vice versa. Like I'm not good at math. So I was like, well, I better be good at liberal arts and being able to write. But for people that can do both, it's like a really good asset and a good skill. So like when you get to law school, you have that advantage, and there's more fields open to you because you have expertise in that field. So if you wanted to go into like, let's say you majored in something in science or like biochemistry, you can go and work for pharmaceutical companies. You can represent them, and you actually know how the medications work. So you have like that extra advantage. But yeah, law schools will take whatever major and whatever skills you bring.
Sorry. Just to add to that, kind of like what Jasmine just said there, I think the more unique you are, the better chances you have of not only getting into law school, but finding really what you really want to do in law school. Because, like me, I went into college with the political science, majoring in political science, kind of like on the fence about do I really want to do that with my life? Is something in the law something that I really want to do? And it took me until getting into LSPI to really figure out that, yeah, that is what I want to do. But at this point, I personally don't really know what I want to do with that kind of degree. So like somebody like Andrea, who has that degree in mechanical engineering, they can go into law school and leave with like a patent. They know how to do patent law at that point. Whereas I have to kind of find my way. I can't do patent law because I never majored in mechanical engineering or anything like that, So I think basically like whatever you can find that interests you and makes you more diverse, I think you should definitely adhere to that. So it doesn't matter if you're majoring in dance or anything like that, psychology, as long as you have a passion for it and you can show that you have something to bring to the table, I think you're going to get into law school and you're going to do just fine.
Okay, well, thank you. So, well, now that we know that you don't have any specific major in order to apply to law school, and there's different paths, right, in order to pursue it, reflecting on your own experience as an undergrad student, what are the most significant challenges that you have faced pursuing your goal to achieve and be able, like your goal to go to law school? What are the main challenges that you have faced? And have overcome these obstacles?
Mm, I think one of the challenges is just not being sure about my major. That's one thing. For a second, I wanted to change my major to, I wanted to do a double major in history and Chicano studies. And I just wasn't ever sure that mechanical engineering was what I wanted to do because I really wanted to go to law school. And I know for me, it was always stressful, like knowing that I had to do my bachelor's and then I still have to go and do my JD in order to become an attorney. But I know I ended up relying a lot on like the support of SSSP and my family to like just tell me like, hey, like you're doing fine in your classes, you're working hard, like calm down, like you're gonna get there. I also know that being first generation, like we don't really know anything about law school. Law school process is weird and challenging, and if you're first generation, no one can guide you. It's different from undergrad. And so I know I had no idea what I was doing, and I relied a lot on LSPI, on the professors, which Professor McCune and Professor Soto helped me a lot up till this date. I know if I ever reach out to Professor Soto, she's always out there to like, she's very open to like help me out. Um, and just have that guidance where my parents can't give me that, or my sister can't give me that, or no one in my family can really give me that. But yeah, I think those were like my two major obstacles.
Let's see. I think the biggest obstacles I've had to face are kind of similar. Like, of course, being first generation, we don't know anything. I don't have anyone in my family, who knows anything about law. Um, so that was tough, and also again, not being sure of my major and not being sure what I wanted to do. Because when I came into college, I was so burnt out from high school. The only thing I knew was I definitely didn't want to go into medicine. Like my mom had been like pushing me towards my whole life. Like I knew I definitely didn't want to do that. But since like that was all I knew, like I didn't know, I guess, what else was out there. So it took me a while to kind of try to figure it out. And then like the other big thing is like, I guess not really having that support at home. So like, first of all, not only am I first generation, so of course my parents aren't gonna know anything about, about college or law school or the application process, but also like my mom has a very like negative like image or of lawyers. And so like anytime I mentioned that I want to be a lawyer, she would be like, oh no, like that's wrong. She was like, you're going to be a doctor, you're going to cure cancer. You're not going to go into like representing like crooks and like all this like fraudulent stuff. And so that's kind of like her mentality. She thinks like devil's advocate. That's what lawyers are. So that was tough to get over. But I think those are like the biggest challenges that I had.
I guess for me, one of the biggest challenges that I had was not really knowing what to expect when it came to like law school, because when I first took LSPI, that first phase, I had a really tough time wrapping my head around just about everything. And those first 2 weeks, because that first week I was crying my eyes out every night, not because I didn't understand what I was reading, what the cases were about. But I mean, I found myself the second week loving it. I guess you could say, overcome that challenge of being scared of not understanding what I was reading and just realizing that I just had to get down and read and understand what I was doing. And a second challenge I think I would say I face is going into law school with the mindset that it's okay not to know what you want to do after law school, because everybody always thinks that, oh, you have to know if you want to be a criminal attorney, an immigration attorney, environmental law, but you really don't. And it's best to go in with the mindset of you really don't know what you want to do, because that way, when you're there, you open yourself up to like new experiences and being able to just kind of find what you really like to do.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing those experiences. Now, moving on, let's talk about your experience as an LSPI, like the process to get in. How do I apply for it? And then when we talk about that, we will explain. I know Andrea has already accepted to law school. She will talk about the process. And I know, Abel, you're going to be in that process if you also wanted to share your experience. So let's start with the LSPI. How do I get there? What are the steps? How competitive, how difficult, what are the challenges there?
So it's been a while since I did LSPI. I remember when I did it, it was, you fill out an application and it's a very basic application, like your name, your address, your phone number, and then you have to attach your resume, and then a letter of interest. And the letter of interest basically asks you to tell a little bit about yourself and why you wanna attend law school. That's basically it. I remember when I applied, I had an interview, and in this interview, you had everyone that's works for LSPI. So you had Miss Rachel, which she's the admin for the program. You have Professor Weaver, which is the director for the program. You had McCune, Professor McKeon, Professor Gons, Professor Soto, and then during that interview, they would just ask you what you wanted to what you wanted to attend law school, what you were studying, what you wanted to do with your law degree, where you would want to go, your plans. My interview, honestly, it wasn't. What I remember wasn't that bad. I do remember I had a really weird question where Dr. Weaver asked me if there was an alien and they ended in the desert and you had to take them to get water, how would you get them there without talking? And so I didn't know how to answer that. I was really nervous. And so I looked to McKeon and he was like, you don't have to answer that. And so I think we continued the interview. But yeah, no, after that, they eventually called me and they accepted me. From what I understand, they do look at GPA. They do base it similar to what law schools would base it off. So they do look at how likely it is for you to get into law schools, and that's how they go in accepting you. I don't know how many people apply, but I do know that they do base it off of what are the probabilities of you getting into law school. And then do you want me to go ahead and jump into actual law school applications, or do you want me to wait on that?
Wait, did Jasmine and Abel, did you experience applying was different or was similar to Andrea?
It was about the same. I think the only difference with us was because our first summer it was virtual. We didn't have the interview. So that was a relief. But yeah, it's the same process. So we just filled out a form. You submit your transcript and your letter of interest. And like Andrea said, they're basically just looking at what are your chances of actually getting into law school based on your current GPA. And it doesn't have to be perfect, but you have to show some sort of potential. And then in the letter of the interest, that's kind of where you show your potential and your willingness and determination to actually get to law school. Because they're investing in you. They're giving you a seat where someone else who might really, really want to go to law school might need it. So that's pretty much all it is. It's just expressing your honest interest in going to law school. But yeah, that was pretty much the same. It was other than that, it was pretty much the same application process.
Okay, so now Andrea, if you wanted to explain what is the process for the law school application.
Okay, so the first thing that you have to do for the application is take the LSAT, which is the law school admissions test. And so for that, you have to, LSPI actually helps you prepare for that. Um, and with that score, you do have to then use LSAC, which is the Law School Admissions Council webpage. And that's where you would go ahead and input all your applications. Um, it does have run pricey, since you do have to, it's a lot of money, which is something that we wouldn't like as a first gen, you wouldn't know. And LSPI is very good at helping you see like how much it costs. We when I did the phase 2, we did go through the whole webpage and we went through everything, how much it cost and what is it that we were going to be charged for. But you do have to buy like it's the CAS, the correct, Jasmine and Annabelle?
Credential assembly
Yeah,
score.
I'm blanking on that one, honestly.
Yeah,
I just saw it. It's some, I forgot. Credential
yeah,
something. Yeah.
yeah. And so with that, and that's getting into too much technical, but those are things that that you're gonna have to go through when you apply. And so everything you apply is gonna be through that page through LSEC. That's also where you're probably going to be taking your exam if you take it online. And I know they're trying to transition to doing everything online. Um, so your LSAT might be online. And you do, in order to apply, you do need to have your resume. You also need to have a personal statement. And then it depends on what school you're applying to, but sometimes they do ask you to, they do have like a diversity statement. Sometimes they ask you for a personal statement to have to answer a certain question or to touch upon a certain topic. So it's just about researching what each school wants and tailoring your personal statement to the school. Like I said, I think LSPI is a very good resource on campus because they do guide you through all this, and they do help you out. I know Dr. Gons? No, Weaver. It's Weaver, right? Dr. Weaver. It helps you with your personal statement. He does revise it, and then if you need to tailor it, sometimes it's just little things that you need to tailor in order for each law school to like accept it. Like sometimes it's a why UT Austin or why Utah. And so you just have to add like 3 sentences as to why you want to go to UT Austin. And then you would have to go ahead and submit your applications. And apart from having those attachments, you would just need to fill out a questionnaire that asks you basic information like if you have like a criminal record, your address, if you're a first generation student, and all that stuff. And also I wanted to add, you can also apply for a fee waiver, which is very convenient. I applied for a fee waiver. They do waive for the 2 exams. If I'm correct, they waive 6 fee. They waive like 6 fees for your like 6 schools fees. You're able to save a lot of money if you apply for the fee waiver and qualify. And if you don't qualify the first time, I do recommend that you guys appeal the decision because that happened to me and I just had to go ahead and appeal. And as soon as I appealed, they went ahead. I sent a letter as to why I needed the fee waiver, and they accepted it. It took a while, but they did accept it, and it's a lot of money that you save. Mhm.
Okay. There's any, did the LSAT require a minimum score that you need to have, or doesn't matter the score?
So the average is a 150. So you want to shoot for a 150. Not that there is like if you have lower than a 150, you're not gonna be accepted to any school. You might like there are some schools that you could be accepted to, but I know that sometimes those schools are in like I don't know if this is correct, but they're like not the best schools. So you want to shoot for a 150 or above. The higher your score is, the more chances you have of more money, a better school. Um, and so that those are things you want to keep in mind. So you always try to shoot for a 150 or above.
Okay.
And
And then
just to
go
add
ahead.
something about the LSAT is that the first time you take it, if you don't get the score you want the first time, you can get like I think it's a $45 fee. It's a score preview where you're able to see the score you got, and if you like it, you can keep it. If you don't, you just cancel it, and it's like you never took the test again, and you have another chance to take it again. Because the less amount of times you take the LSAT, the better it looks. So that's just something I want to say.
So do the schools have a limit? Do you have, as a student, do you have a limit on how many exams can you take for a score or not?
There is no limit, but schools do notice that. So the first, you can, if you buy what Abel was talking about, you can only use it for your first exam. After that, although all those scores are gonna be kept in your records, and so all the law schools are gonna be able to see all of your scores. Sometimes it helps when they see like if there's three scores and they see that you kept improving. Some schools see that as like beneficial because they see like, oh, this person tried and they kept improving, so that's good. But I know sometimes when they see like up and down, it might be not the best. But usually there's no that I know of. There's no limit, and I believe there's also like a time limit as to how long you can use your LSAT score. I believe it's 5 years. I don't know if don't call me out, but I believe it's 5 years that you can use your LSAT. So if you don't want to go, if you have a really high score and you don't want to go like for the first 3 years, you have until like you have 5 years to use that score, and then it's like never mind, you cannot use it anymore.
And the fee waiver is good for 2 years. And it also pays for the fee for the what do you call it for your when your first exam if you want to like afterwards if you want to the score preview.
Score preview.
Yeah.
Okay. So, okay. And what we were mentioning about the fees, you said that is very expensive. That it can be very expensive. Is when you apply to the schools that you choose, that every school has a different fee, or they also have like a package? Because from my understanding from medical school or for you can apply for universities and it's the same price if you apply here in Texas, but if you're planning to apply outside another state, there's another price, right? So or in law school is like it's each law school has a different fee, is separate, or how does that work?
Each law school has their own fees. There's schools that like they won't charge you, they will charge you zero fees, and that's cool. But there's law schools that will charge you like they'll charge you more fees, and it changes depending on law school, not depending on state. Each law school just makes up their own fees. And else the LSEC also charges you a $45 fee. Why? I'm not sure. I also forgot to add, you do need letters of recommendation when applying for law school. So that's something to keep in mind when, like, now that you guys are in undergrad, just make sure you make those connections with your professors and when you're with your bosses, because you do need letters of recommendations for your applications.
Okay. So before we move on how to prepare, the applications for law school, do they have any deadlines? Is any certain times that are open, or how that works?
They usually open up in September. They close, I believe, I'm not sure when they close, around March? I believe around March.
Late March, somewhere around there.
Because seed deposits start being due in April. And so, but they do open in September. One thing that I know is that the earlier you apply, the better your chances at money and at getting into schools. That's one thing to keep in mind.
Well, now is like going to kind of the final steps of how, as an undergrad, can you prepare? Oh, yeah, can you be preparing to law school? What are the things that you will be considering in order to be prepared? The three of you have different paths, right? They have different experiences, but for you, what are your recommendations for students? How they can prepare, since if they have that passion to go to law school and say, but I'm still a freshman. I would not worry about it. If you are a sophomore, do I have to start thinking about it? How do I prepare to be a competitive student or to have a competitor application?
Pues I would say take care of your GPA first of all. Not take care of it like I'm never gonna fail, but like try your best in your classes because that's something that they do take into consideration. And I mean, join extracurriculars. I think it's always best when you are well rounded. And I think law schools not join extracurriculars don't care about my grades. It's find your balance between extracurriculars and your grades. Because I think law schools also look into how is a candidate holistically, not just their grades, because you're more than just an LSAT score and a GPA. You are more than that. So I would also recommend if you find that, and it's whatever you want to do, whatever you're passionate about. If you want to join a sorority, if you want to join an organization that like meets to go out and clean or whatever you want to join, I say go ahead and like join it just so you start making connections with other people. You start getting leadership roles, and that's something you can add to do things that you can add to your resume so you can start building up.
Jasmine and Evan, do you want to add anything else? You still are undergrad. So what are you, from your experience, how do you prepare? What are your recommendations?
So first of all, definitely join LCPI. It really helps, especially if you're first generation. They help you with everything from LSAT prep to like figuring out which law schools to apply to once you get your score. And then they kind of just help you out along the way, along with like letters of recommendation, and they check your personal statement. So that's one big help. You can start applying for that as early as the summer after your sophomore year, because it's a 2-year program. So it's 2 summers. Definitely join that. The first summer, you're just going to take classes that are focused on like law school. So it's like an introduction to law school. You get to argue a case in front of your class. You get to learn how to write a legal memo. You get to do like all of the stuff that you do in law school. And then the second summer is all about like getting ready for law school and taking the LSAT and doing all that preparation. So definitely recommend that. Also, start building I guess another thing to recommend would be to start building like those relationships with professors, because you need at least to give you letters of recommendation that are in your major. So make sure to like keep that in mind. That's always nice to have professors like, because like if you're like, for me, if I'm a philosophy major and all of my letters of recommendation are from like I guess my English classes or my English professors, then like it doesn't really speak towards like your major, because that's what they look at. They look at your GPA, they look at, you know, who's recommending you. So just like, yeah, start going to office hours and, you know, maintaining that relationship. And I guess one more thing is, if you're interested in really seeing if you really want to go into law school, try doing an internship. Try doing it. You could do an internship. You could even join like SGA. You know, like they act like, you know, like government, right? So if you're interested in that, you could join that. You could look for local internships. I know there's law firms that are always hiring. Right now, I'm doing an unpaid internship at the courthouse downtown, where basically I get to work one-on-one with the judge, and I get to sit in on trials. I get to see all the hearings. I get to sit in a courtroom, so it's pretty interesting. Like right now, I'm in the jury room, so this is where I get to work. So that's pretty fun. So it just gives you some more experience. And yeah, that's pretty much it.
I wanted to back up what Jasmine said. I think that's one of the best things you guys could do is get an internship, because yeah, you can do LSPI and it's going to show you like how the classroom works and how the LSAT is going to work as well. But I think getting an internship and like succeeding in it and just kind of figuring out that that's what you want to do, I think is the best way for you to show, for you to demonstrate to yourself that this is what I want, or this isn't. Because I know one of our program advisors, Ricardo, he worked in a law office for, I don't know how long he worked there for, but I know he's told me that he hated it, that like he did not enjoy what he was doing, and that it wasn't for him. So I think that's where you can kind of find out really quickly is like, is this for me or is this not?
Okay, well, thank you. Thank you for sharing your experience. And I think we are close to 6 p.m. just to kind of wrap it up. What are if you can talk about how SSSP has helped you to accomplish this goal, right, to go to law school, or what are the advice that you can give to any other SSSP participants in order to prepare, or when they feel or doubt that if they pursuing the correct, if they have a doubt on going to law school or they get discouraged, what are your advice?
So one thing that SSSP helped me out a lot, because I did start off as a student. I eventually became a staff member, and now I'm a professional staff. And so I know, like as a student, I did have a lot of peer mentors. I know both advisors helped me out a lot. And so I know there were a lot of times where I had to come in and just be like, hey, like I don't know what I'm doing. I'm not sure like if this is for me. Like I had a lot of doubts. But I know, like speaking with any staff member from the program, it always put me in like, hey, like just take it day by day. Like you do know what you want to do. Like let's see what you're doing. You know, like they always help me like calm down when everything became a little bit too much. I also like, so that helped me out a lot. And so I think one of my advices is that if it doesn't work out the first time, or if you're unsure the first time, like you can also always wait and reapply. Because I was planning on leaving last August for law school, but things just didn't work out how I hoped they were gonna work out. Um, and so I decided to wait a year. And I was like, for a moment I was a little bit scared. I was like, if I don't leave for law school now, what if I never want to leave? What if no law school is gonna want me? What if they think I just took a year off and they're like, no, like no, we're not gonna accept you. So I was scared, but I knew like I couldn't leave last year. And so it actually honestly worked out better for me. I have more opportunities this time around, reapplying than I did when I applied the first time around. So I think my advice for you is, if the first time around it doesn't work out, it doesn't mean you have to give up and it's not gonna work out. It just means it didn't work out this time. Let's go ahead and try it again next time. Um, and yeah, and if you guys are like, if you're ever in doubt, you can always come to our office and you can always talk to any of us. Um, and yeah, don't give up. I think once we're first gen, it's harder for us to like, we doubt ourselves and we want to do things so quickly. We want to get things done. Like we think we're running out of time, but we're not. Like we're all in a good, like we're in a good path. So I mean, you just take your time and remember, you can try again. If it doesn't work the first time, we can try again.
Let's see. Well, yeah, like what Andrea was saying, like SSSP really helped me out. First of all, it's what the reason that I found out about LSPI because of Andrea, because I got to talk to like other mentors who had experience with LSPI, and that really pushed me into it because I was kind of like on the fence, not really sure if I wanted to even go to law school, if I wanted to be a lawyer. So SSSP has really helped me out a lot with that. On top of like also working for SSSB has helped me out with like my own personal like public speaking skills, and like all these other, like all the workshops that we offer have really helped me, especially that first summer, because I had to, even though it was through Zoom, it was terrifying because we had to actually get up in front of the class and talk and argue our cases, and the professor was mean, like he was coming at us so much, and he would like, a second would not a second would go by and you wouldn't be able to finish your argument because you'd keep have something else to like bring up or something else to ask you, and so you really need to learn how to like think on your feet and keep going with and stick to your argument. So I feel like SSSB has really helped me out with that, and also just talking to other students and like my mentees and trying to like help guide them into LSPI. So like that's also helped me kind of like reassure that like I do want to go to law school, like this is what I want to do. And if you ever feel very like, if you ever have doubts, or you don't feel like you can handle it, just think that like you've made it this far. You're the first in your family to get your bachelor's. You can be the first in your family to get your law degree. It's just the next step. So like, when you were in high school, getting your bachelor's probably felt super far away. It's kind of the same thing now for law school. And the one thing that brings me comfort is like I'm gonna have to go to graduate school either way because I can't really do anything with a philosophy bachelor's. So I have to go. I have no choice. So it's either like some sort of grad school or law school. And I want to go to law school because even if I don't want to be a lawyer, because sometimes I still find myself on the brink. I'm like, I don't know if I want to be a lawyer, but like I like the law school environment. Just think you can do anything with a law degree. It helps you with your critical thinking. It helps you be better in your writing. It helps you in like any aspect of work that you want to go into. It doesn't just have to be in law. So that's what gives me comfort is it's like, I'm not going to like, I guess, waste my time if in the end I realize I don't want to be a lawyer. Because there's a lot more you can get out of law school than that.
So I think I'm probably the only one speaking as somebody who's not really hasn't been part of SSSB that long. I mean, yes, I've been part of it for a year, but they didn't really introduce it to me. But I know that when I had a really tough time after I, quite frankly, bombed my LSAT the first time around, I know that Andrea and Jasmine were right away like there for me. Like, Andrea told me that, hey, just because you didn't get the first time around doesn't mean you can't do it again. Jasmine, like she's just told you right now, is like, if you need the help, she helped me with a particular section that I didn't understand. And yeah, I think when it comes to getting discouraged, I think it's important to realize that just because you're the first one doing it doesn't mean that, like, you're the first one doing it ever. Like, there's so many of us that are doing it for the first time. We're all going through it, but as long as I guess we have each other's backs, we're all gonna do just fine.
Well, thank you. Thank you for sharing your experience. And then with this, we conclude the question sections. I don't know if anyone from the student side have a question for our panelists today. If you have a question, you can open your mic, or you can write in the chat your question. No questions then? Okay, so I think we just. Oh, is Angelica, are you able to see the chat? Yeah, okay. Well, like I said, all of you are in the same, right? Everyone here, the majority, we are first gen, so we just here just a reminder that we are here for you guys, for you, and support you, to be your support system. And that's why we have these panels, and hopefully it helps for you to have a better idea or to feel empowered, because that's our goal. And with that, I think I wrap it up the session. I don't know if anything, if any of you wanted to add anything, and if not, thank you for being here with us today. And then I think we see you soon. Okay, bye. Thank you.
Thank you, Angelica.
Thank you, Angelica. Bye.